Hi guys, I just wanted to start with the um, couple comments about the last assignments. It looked like the worksheet didn't print out correctly for some of you, and somehow some of the variables and numbers got messed up. As the next lesson or one of the lessons this week, I will prepare more practice for using quadratic formula. Make sure that you are using the method that I am asking you for at the particular assignment, because well, you need to know all of them, and it's a point of kind of using them whenever whenever I'm asking you to. So to get the credit, make sure you do that. And we are going to use a part of a quadratic formula today because we are going to work with the discriminants. And I want you to be able to use the discriminant to decide or to determine the number of solutions of the quadratic equations. So the discriminant is a expression that is under the radical in a quadratic formula. I want to remind you the quadratic formula: x is equal to negative b plus minus, and then under the square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Many of you who did the work, or if you watched my videos last week, you should remember the quadratic formula. And then you should remember that if this number happened to be negative, we would say that there's no solution. If this number was positive, we would get two solutions. And if this number here would be 0, notice that we would be adding to whatever the negative b was, adding 0 and then subtracting 0, so we would get one solution. I want you to look at this table. Well, you can see that my printer is running out of ink because it's doing funny things. But this is a parabola here. I think many of you have the same issue. This is my parabola here. And I am going to highlight the x and y axis. So if you look at the first picture, the x-axis is right here, the parabola is up higher, and this parabola has no solution, so it does not have x-intercepts. It does not cross x-axis anywhere. So that means that it has 0 x-intercepts, has 0 real solutions. And if we think of the discriminant, again, the formula is b squared minus 4ac, because that's that part of the quadratic formula that is under square root. If we think about this one, a is equal to 1, b is equal to 2, and c is equal to 5. So if we are to find this discriminant, if we actually want to figure out what that number is, we would say b squared minus 4 times 1 times 5. 2 squared is 4. 4 minus 20 is equal to negative 16. And that's exactly what we have right here. I just plugged in all the numbers, so we see that the discriminant is negative. If we were using the quadratic formula to solve it, we would see that negative number and we would say, well, there's no solution. Those questions with discriminant, they happen quite often on MCAS, also on SATs. So that's why it's very important to know how to solve them and what that discriminant is. Let's take a look at this one. This is a beautiful parabola that has one x-intercept, or in other words, one real solution. And we can see that it is equivalent to, well, we could count this. I don't know exactly, and I do not care at this moment. What I do care is to check how many solutions do I have based on the discriminant. Again, I do know that this is 0, but I want to see that. So I know that a is equal to 1, b is equal to 10, and c is equal to 25. So the discriminant is going to be b squared, so 10 squared, minus 4 times 1 times 25. 10 squared is 100, minus 100 it is clearly 0. So because this is equivalent to 0, I know that it is one solution. I did not find what that solution is, but I know that there's one. And then again, we have a parabola that looks like this. My x-axis is right in here. And I do see that there are two solutions. I do not know exactly what those solutions are, but that is not the point today. Today, we want to check based on the discriminant, how many solutions do we have. So I see that A is equivalent to 2, B is equivalent to -7, and C is equivalent to 2. I do see that it is going to be equal to 33, but I want to show you how it happens. Again, b squared, I am going to put -7 in parentheses and I am going to square it. That is going to give me a positive number in a second. So b squared minus 4 times a times c. -7 times -7, or in other words, -7 squared is 49, minus 16. Oops, minus 16. That is giving me 33, and that is the number that they told me that I will have. So because that number is positive, that is what matters here. Because this number is positive, I am able to state that there are two real solutions. Let's look at the example right here. So we want to state the value of the discriminant. This is the first thing that we are going to do. So the discriminant, I am going to use the letter D, and I am going to say, well, the formula is b squared minus 4ac. Now I am looking at this quadratic equation, and it is not in a standard form. So before I do anything else, I am going to clean it up. 4x squared plus 5x plus 3 is going to be equal to 0. And not only am I going to do this, I am also going to list a, b, and c. So now, again, the first part of the question is just to find the discriminant. B squared minus 4 times a is 4 and c is 3. You always have to be very careful with the order of operations. We will do the exponent first. 5 squared is 25. Minus 4 times 4 is 16, and 16 times 3 is 48. Well, I see that 48 is larger than 25, so this is going to definitely be a negative number, and that is going to be equivalent to -23. -23. All right, so we got our discriminant. Our discriminant is a negative number. So we answer the first part of the question. And now what we do need to do is we need to decide how many solutions do we have. So this is the second part of the question. Because the discriminant is negative, there's no real solutions. Okay, we answered again. This question had two parts. We answered both of them. I'm going to go on my second page, and I have example number 2. State the value of the discriminant. So again, I'm going to look at my equation. It is in a standard form. I will list A, B, and C. I am then going to write the formula for the discriminant, b squared minus 4ac. B squared is 11 squared minus 4 times 2 times 15. 11 squared is equivalent to 121. 4 times 2, 8, 8 times 15, I do not want to make a mistake. 10 times 8 is 80 and 40, so 120 if I did not make any mistakes. So 121 minus 120, it is equivalent to 1. Because the discriminant is positive, I will have 2 real solutions. Okay, it does not matter what this number is, as long as this number is positive. As long as this number is positive, that is telling me that our equation is going to have 2 solutions. All right, and then we have one more. Those numbers look larger, so you may want to use a calculator. But again, we want to state the value of the discriminant first. I am going to start by writing the formula, b squared minus 4ac. Well, a is 9, b is negative 30, and c is 25. B squared negative 30 squared. Be very careful here. This number is going to become positive. 4a is 9 and c is 25. 30 squared, so 3 times 3 is 9, and then I will have 2 zeros. Well, 4 times 25 is 100. 100 times 9 is 900. So the value of the discriminant is 0. I just answered this question. This is equivalent to 0. And because the determinant is 0, I am going to have 1 real solution. Okay, so again, if you want a very quick summary, if determinant is positive, you will always have 2 real solutions. If determinant is 0, you will have 1 real solution. If determinant is negative, you will have 0 real solutions. All right. Please make sure you listen to this again if you need to. Please make sure you complete the assigned work.